Glad to be back. It's another busy week for House Republicans. I want to thank our new colleague Clay for speaking with you this morning. Brand new and came in with a lot already on the plate. One of your outlets, I can't remember where I read it, but one of you very smartly noted it's a fuller house now with Clay Fuller. So it is. We're happy to have him. We have 5 bills on the floor this week. You heard a little bit about it. I just wanted to make a couple of additional comments about what we're doing here because it's important. All of these things have one thing in common. They're going to streamline permitting and reduce the regulatory burdens on American builders and farmers and innovators and energy producers. And that's what we're all talking about this morning. We're going to pass 2 pieces of legislation that are going to build specifically on President Trump's work to restore America's energy dominance. The Reliable Federal Infrastructure Act rolls back an outdated and inefficient green energy mandate on federal buildings and military installations, which will allow agencies to pursue efficient, cost-effective energy solutions that meet their needs. What a concept. The second one, the HEATS Act, is going to help unlock American geothermal production. This is reliable, renewable energy that has huge potential for diversifying America's energy supply. This legislation will remove unnecessary permitting hurdles and help deliver on Republicans' commitment to an all-the-above approach to affordable American energy. This is a big thing. I mean, the production of American energy is now directly related to national security. The demand for energy is rising dramatically because of AI and all of these other necessities that we have in the economy, and we've got to provide for it. So it's an all the above, and that's what this legislation reflects. Finally, as Leader Scalise was noting, the FIRE Act and the ESA Amendments Act will streamline and clarify environmental regulations, encouraging responsible fire management and the protection of America's diverse wildlife while removing costly and unclear mandates that unfairly penalize good faith actors. It's common sense. That is the theme here. We're going to cut red tape and do the right thing, and the Congress is leading on this. Also this week, the House will pick up where we left off on reauthorizing FISA Section 702. It's must-pass legislation. We've talked about it here before. It preserves the Trump administration's ability to kill terrorists and to prevent attacks on our homeland. That this provision of law was created after 9/11, and frankly, one of the reasons we've not had another 9/11 on our shores is because we have this important tool. Congress was able to pass a short-term extension of Section 702 last week, and we're going to continue to work out a longer-term extension. We're confident that we'll be able to find strong bipartisan consensus that builds off of the really meaningful reforms that we included in the legislation the last time we reauthorized it. We did that in 2024. 56 reforms, and they're working just as we planned. And that was we were successful because that was a sensible set of changes. Countries like Russia and China are waging new forms of cyber and intelligence warfare. And of course, as Iran and its proxies threaten the U.S. and our allies, it just bears repeating that this is no time to degrade in any way our ability to protect the homeland and our people. And this is an essential piece of that, an essential component, and failure on it is just simply not an option. With regard to the continued shutdown of Homeland Security, it's shameful. Republicans are sprinting to end the Democrats' shameless shutdown of our Homeland Security Department. And I'm relieved to report this is finally the beginning of the end of this, because Democrats decided to walk away from our bicameral, bipartisan appropriations package that they themselves helped negotiate. That was 2 months ago. They have now left it to us. Republicans are going to be forced to do the responsible thing of ending this shutdown on our own. It's unthinkable to me, but this is where they are. The Democrats have decided they will not fund. They want $0 to secure the border. They want $0 to enforce federal immigration law. That's where they are. It's been 2 months of partisan obstruction, 2 months of chaos at American airports, 2 months of missed paychecks for hundreds of thousands of faithful employees in the Department of Homeland Security, which I note all the time is the 3rd largest department in our government. And when we do this, here's the great irony of it. Democrats are going to get absolutely nothing for their dangerous game they played here. Republicans in the House and the Senate recognize that funding for the security of Americans' homeland isn't some political football, but the Democrats seem to think it is. And that's why through a targeted and narrow reconciliation process, we will fully fund the agency, including ICE and CBP, for 3 years into the future. This is great news for every American who supports secure borders and safe communities and chaos-free airports. In the coming days, the House will be working closely with the Senate as they commence on that reconciliation process. And it should not be forgotten that Democrats shut down the third largest department of the federal government with all of its 10 agencies charged with keeping everybody safe. And they did that for political purposes. They've kept it shut down for over 2 months now. We're on day 65. It's the longest in history because they'd rather reopen the border than pay our hardworking men and women of our law enforcement. They would rather defund the police than pay our TSA workers at the airport. They would rather endanger the American homeland than fund basic immigration enforcement. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You heard the theme here this morning. You'll hear it all the way through the election cycle. Our politics have now entered a new era. It's called common sense versus crazy. Republicans return to common sense versus Democrats just madness. This shutdown is a shameful episode in the history of the Democrat Party. This is not our father's Democrat Party. Watch what happens. We administered the oath to a member last night who has some pretty far left positions. We expect more of that to come from that party, and it's not where the American people are. And it's yet another example of their preference for open borders and dangerous communities over the safety and security of American citizens. So I answer a couple questions. Second row, yes, ma'am.
Question for you about the DHS funding. So some of your colleagues told me that they're concerned that the Senate won't provide a good bill that would be able to pass on the House floor. What level of confidence do you have that your caucus will go along with that partial funding after the Senate acts reconciliation?
We'll get there. We have to. We've got to make sure that the homeland is protected, and there's been lots of consternation amongst lots of members about how this devolved. It's not the fault of the Republican Party, it's fault of the Democrats because they decided to break off again after, remember, they helped negotiate the bipartisan bicameral homeland bill, and then they decided for political purposes they would pull off ICE and CBP, immigration enforcement and border. And you can't do that. You can't isolate and have orphan agencies of the department. You've got to fund it all. Well, they've determined to do that, which means we've got to use a reconciliation vehicle in order to fund those critical components. But we'll figure this out. We've got lots of discussions today and in the coming days to make sure that we can get that through, and I think we will. And I certainly hope it's bipartisan. Look, if you're a Democrat in the House or Senate, do you want to go down on the record of just saying, I want zero funding to close the border? You might remember border security was the #1 issue in 2024. The only reason people aren't up in arms about it at the moment is because we solved the problem. But Democrats want to reopen it. That's what that means. Ask them. Wait a minute. Hold on. Ask the Democrats in the Senate and the House. You want zero funding for border security? That means it reopens. That's what that means. That's the reality. Right.
On that bill, I mean, take your point on the bill, but the White House is paying DHS employees right now, but House vote and the administration have warned they're going to run out of money for that. So is there any chance of passing that bulk of DHS bill before reconciliation if there seems to be progress on that to avoid another lapse and to get most of the department running?
The sequencing is important. We've got to make sure that we don't isolate and, as I say, make an orphan out of key agencies of the department. And there's some concern on our side that if you do the bulk of the department first before that, then they could be left out. We can't allow for that. So we're working through that. The sequencing is important, and the language of the legislation is important as always, and we'll get there. Just stay tuned on it.
Speaker, thank you, Speaker. Do you have faith in the House Ethics Committee? It's really the only avenue that members can police one another up here on Capitol Hill. Yet there are still reports of misconduct, reports of inappropriate relationships, and there have been investigations that have been ongoing for months with no resolution in sight.
Well, yeah, let me say this about the House Ethics Committee. This has been, this committee and this cycle and the last cycle, I mean, this has been, the last two Congresses have been very busy for the Ethics Committee. We live in an age, look, let me just back up. There's always been untoward activity among political figures. I mean, going back to time immemorial, right? There's always been marital infidelity. There's always been despicable behavior. It occurs to us that it may not have always been exposed and as transparent as it is today because of the very active press corps and 24-hour news cycle and smartphones and everything being recorded. And so what that means is the House Ethics Committee is an essential component of this institution. They keep the faith in the institution by policing their own members. And when allegations are made against members of Congress, they take it very seriously. There's a number of deliberate steps that are taken where due process is provided. Now, you can't just take action against a member based on allegations, there's got to be some element of due process, and it's an important part of our constitutional system and traditions. And so our ability to do that in the House is governed by the bipartisan House Ethics Committee. You cannot take a step forward against a member unless there is a bipartisan vote. There's lots of safeguards in there for the due process. Sometimes it takes a long time. I'll note this with Sheriff Phyllis McCormick, for example, who will have her effectively her sentencing phase of her of that process today. That's a very rare thing. The last one was in 2010 against the former member Charlie Rangel, because typically when a member is facing serious charges, they will just resign from Congress. You saw 2 examples of that last week. This particular individual decided not to do that. I mean, she's gone all the way, and she I won't say, I don't know if obstruction is the right word, but she certainly delayed the process. They've been working for over 2 years on an investigation of these allegations against Sheriff Phyllis McCormick. She did not cooperate. She fought them at every turn, and so that takes longer and longer for it to go through. Look, I think that the Ethics Committee, in a bipartisan fashion, I think the members are all there in good faith. I think they're doing their best to do good work in very difficult circumstances, and we rely upon that work. And we insist upon due process because we have to, because it protects it protects the institution, and it protects those who voted to send everybody here, the people. That's what this is about. So, look, we're going to police this institution as best we can. We're going to admonish members when they get out of line. We're going to censure them when necessary. We kick them off committees when necessary, and on a rare occasion, they get expelled. That may happen here shortly, and we'll see what happens next.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, in the case with Mr. Swalwell, women didn't feel safe reporting to Congress. They had to go to the press. The same with Mr. Gonzalez. What reforms can be put in place so that female staffers feel safe coming and reporting so that they don't have to go to the press?
It's a great question. I mean, we are looking at every potential avenue to tighten up the rules and make sure that women have an avenue to report. You may know this. I have 2 daughters who work on Capitol Hill on committee staffs, okay? Very serious to me, all right? I'm a father. I'm not just the Speaker of the House. I'm a member that is directly involved in this. For that very reason, we have to protect women and anyone who feels like there's any inappropriate behavior whatsoever. So if there are ways to tighten the rules, suggestions, we're seeking that from all members. We're open to that. And I suspect you'd get bipartisan, almost hopefully unanimous support to do that. We have a lot of mechanisms in place, but we're always open to making that safer and more secure. And I will lead that myself for the obvious reasons, okay? So we're doing the best we can under difficult circumstances. I will say this. I think candidate recruitment is a big part of this as well, okay? And I've been in charge of that for 2 cycles on the Republican side, and we are very carefully recruiting people who are serious legislators, persons of great integrity, who will come here and roll up their sleeves and work for the people as the founders envisioned this. We don't need people running for Congress because they want to be famous. We don't need people running for Congress because they see this as some sort of opportunity for their own individual endeavors. I'll leave it at that. You got to screen for the right people, and I'm confident there's enough patriotic Americans who are willing to come serve sacrificially in this institution and do it right. In the meantime, we're going to tighten up the rules and make sure that we're on top of that, and I commit that to you.
Speaker,
Thanks.
Mr. Speaker,
Thanks.
Mr. Speaker.